Parliament specifically, the newly appointed Correctional Services DG Arthur Fraser showing up at the seat of government today. He's just, as you know, been removed from his job as intelligence chief, appearing very keen, as Annika Larsen, our senior reporter, is going to tell us, to take up his new job. Annika, you tried your best to get something from Mr. Fraser. You're going to set this up for us, but first of all, before we play that, what sort of mood was he in? What was the general demeanour?
I think he was a little uncomfortable. He's clearly a man who's not used to being exposed to the sunlight, I would say. He's not used to being held accountable to Parliament. The Intelligence Portfolio Committee, Joint Standing Committee, is a closed session. MPs are security vetted, and Arthur Fraser doesn't have to account to anyone really but the Minister of State Security. So perhaps today was a little unusual and uncomfortable for him. It's also only his second day on the job, and it must have been quite overwhelming listening to the budget for the next financial year from the acting National Commissioner of Correctional Services, who was sitting next to him. So Arthur Fraser almost had a sort of a watching brief. But we did get confirmation from the Deputy Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Thabang Makwetla, for the first time that because DG positions fall under the purview of the President, it was the President's decision to remove Arthur Fraser from the position of DG of the State Security Agency and place him in the position of National Commissioner of Correctional Services. So it was a direct order from the President, and as the Minister Makwetla said, we could not argue with that. Shortly afterwards, as the media, we waited and waited and waited for Mr. Fraser to come out of the meeting and to come towards us. We were waiting for him, poor man, at the door, and he really held firm. We weren't asking him any security related questions, which it would be understandable if he couldn't answer them, because I'm sure he signed secrecy and confidentiality clauses, but fairly straightforward questions he was just not willing to answer. Mr. Fraser, hello. Please could we get a comment, Mr. Fraser? Mr. Fraser, how do you feel about your appointment? Mr. Fraser, were you given any indication of why you moved from SSA?
Will you be surprised, Mr. Fraser?
Mr. Fraser, do you know what happened in court today? Why it was postponed? Mr. Fraser, will you give us any indication at all of our questions at some stage?
Will you be surprised, Mr. Fraser?
Did you get a call from the President, Mr. Fraser?
Were you alerted on the day, Mr. Fraser? You could at least ask us that.
Mr. Fraser, just any comment and we'll go.
No comment. No comment, thank you. You can close.
Annika, I have one question to ask you. Is there a problem with the lift doors in Parliament?
Probably with my foot.
I see, all right.
My poor man. You see, so the microphone was in the lift, it probably couldn't close, and I felt in the end poor people needed to get down to the ground floor. And I do not get paid extra for this. I do not get a bonus, my editor-in-chief, for chasing a man for so long and standing off against someone who's so tight-lipped. But there you have it. He was not willing to answer any of those questions. And I should think that as National Commissioner of Correctional Services, we're going to have quite a tough time getting answers out of him. He does not like the camera.
Just quickly, Annika, talking about answers, of course, there are still key questions being posed to which answers need to be given about this parallel intelligence service that he is alleged to have been running.
That's right. The slush fund, which we're told, well, the allegation certainly is PAN siphoned off about 1 billion. Those are untested allegations, of course, but there have been two reports, one internal SSA report and then another report which was done by the Office of the Intelligence Inspector General, which in 2012, which suggested that Fraser and 15 others faced some kind of criminal prosecution. It went behind closed doors again to the Standing Committee on Intelligence, and we've never figured out what happened. Where the blocks came tumbling down is the current Inspector General has had his security clearance taken away because he says he was trying to follow up on this report and trying to get some answers. What happened in court today, it seems, happened behind closed doors, but as I understand it, Jeremy, once your security clearance is taken away from you, the only way you can get it back is to appeal directly to the minister. So even going to court was not going to give the Inspector General his security clearance back. Perhaps there's some kind of behind-the-scenes negotiations going on, but his appeal would have to be in the system, and therefore he would now have to work through that system to get his security clearance back, despite there being a new SSA boss in Loyisa Jafta.
Right, I think fair to say, Annika Larsen, who is every day rewriting the manual as far as door stopping is concerned. Annika, thank you very much indeed. Live outside the National Assembly for us in Cape Town.